Hey guys, this is Tauna, and today we're going to be talking about the murders at Carl of Mana mechanics. So this is going to be like our lead into the other videos because, we're going to cover all of the different cards that are going to be announced and everything. I'm going to be going through them and everything and talking about them. But I wanted to kind of do like a base where it's going through all the different mechanics because, there's some new mechanics in here. There's some that are new mechanics, but they're like twists on older mechanics. There's a few different things in here. So this is kind of like the base to kind of point towards. Interesting thing here is that they put murder at Carl of Mana here. It's meant to be murders, so that is spelt wrong. I don't know. That's just a me thing that I pointed out. All right. So the first mechanic here is going to be Disguise. This is very similar to Morph. You play the card face down, paying 3. It's going to be a 2/2 without any, it's colorless, and it doesn't have, anything besides being a creature. It doesn't have any of the tags or anything like that. It's just purely a 2/2 face down. However, this time around, they've got Ward 2 as well. So if you bring in like a card and disguise it from exile or something like that, then someone's going to know what it is. But this time they've got wards, so that way, then they're less likely to be able to remove it. So that's interesting. That's basically, the only real difference there is the ward, and, the cost here is just the same as, same as Morph. Like if we look at a Morph card, it's going to be basically the exact same here. You can see there, you could cast it face down for 3, turn it up for its Morph cost is the same, except for the fact that it's got that Ward 2 built into it as well. So that is, just the way, that's just Disguise there. Similar to, Morph, you can morph it at any time. If it's morphed and anytime that you have, priority, you can morph it. There might be like, you can flip it during like a battle phase or something like that. However, if it's got flying and it was being blocked, like when it's got flying, when it flips over, it's still going to be blocked. You can't like, dodge blockers by that way. So you got to flip it over prior to that. So, it doesn't count as it entering the battlefield. However, some cards will have like, when this flips over, do X, Y, Z and stuff along those lines. So there's lots of really cool stuff it could potentially do that way. The next one is Cloak. So this is going to be very similar to Manifest, where you play a card and it's going to be face down 2/2. It doesn't have to be a card that has Morph or anything like that. It's going to be that, and then you're going to it's also got the Ward 2 as well. So it's, it's not counted as Morph. It's counted as, cloaked. So it's face down, and then you can flip it over for either its morph cost, not morph, well, morph, I guess, or disguise cost if it's got that, or you can pay it with the cost up the top there. So very similar to the way Morph Manifest worked previously. So this card here lets you turn, where is it? Exile any number of face-up creatures you control with Disguise in face-down pile, shuffle that pile, then cloak them. So you get to like cloak them all out and stuff. So Cloak looks really interesting. It's just basically a twist on Manifest, which is really cool. All right. So then we've got Investigate here. So Investigate is the same as previously. It's just create a clue token. That's just, returning keyword there. We've got Suspect. So this is very interesting. So this is going to be in the Boros deck here. It basically makes it so that it's like kind of like a debuff, but it lasts as long as, that creature's on the battlefield. A suspected creature has menace and can't block for as long as it remains suspected. So that's very interesting. You could suspect the last thing of someone or something like that. There's lots of really cool stuff you could do with that. However, with the Boros deck, you can then goad them if they're suspects. And, there's other stuff that you can do with suspects. So, for example, Argus Cost here lets you exile something if it's suspected with his enter the battlefield or attack. We've got Collect Evidence. So this is basically used for a number of different things. So you can see here this Axebane Ferox has Collect Evidence 4. It's basically exile cards from your graveyard and with mana cost up to that. So for example, this one here, it's got Ward Collect Evidence 4. So if someone was, casting a spell or something onto it, then they need to exile cards up to mana value 4. I believe it can be greater though. So if you can't reach 4, then you can exile 5 or something like that. And it has to be from your graveyard as well. So it's very interesting, especially when you had like Descend previously. It's like the opposite of Descend, where Descend you wanted to have the cards in your graveyard. This you want to have the cards in your graveyard just so you could get rid of them. Which is really interesting. Very, very interesting mechanic. We've got cases here, which are like a new enchantment type. So the way they work is they have 3 abilities. So the top ability is always active. So it's kind of like the old class types. So the top one is when it enters the battlefield, investigate. So you just get that. The middle one, preceded by to solve, sets out the conditions under which you solve the case. So for this one here, you need to control 3 or more artifacts. So once you've got those, then at the beginning of your end step, then you can solve it. And then the bottom part here becomes active once you solve it. So this one here is solve. You can pay 2 colorless and 1 blue, sacrifice it to put 4 +1/+1s onto a target non-creature artifact to buff it up. So these are like, the kind of old class systems, except for instead of, spending to advance it, it's you get this, and then this part here, depending on what you're doing, then you could potentially solve it. And then once you solve, you get, a cool kind of mechanic there. So that is all of the new mechanics there and all of the returning ones. Suspect to me looks like the most interesting one. Collect evidence. I'll be very interested to see exactly what that is. I believe that'll be used in the green commander deck. Investigate, same as always, and then Cloak and Disguise look really cool too. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Have a great day and goodbye.